Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are. We've got another podcast session and I've got a friend and a colleague, Vandana Singh, who we're so pleased to have you on board, Vandana. And Vandana is the Director, Global Key Account Management for Asia and Pacific region with Saudi Air Cargo. Lovely to have you, Vandana.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here on the show and it's lovely to see you again.
Yeah. I think we should probably let the listeners know that we've been colleagues together at Lufthansa and also Saudi. So it was a great pleasure working with you, and I loved our interaction and a lot of respect for what you do, Vandana, and you do it very, very well.
Thank you so much. And I would not forget our days in the Lufthansa cargo as well as Saudi. Those were days to remember, and those are days that I'm very, very proud of. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, indeed. Right, now, what I want to do firstly, Vandana, is not so much about, who you're working for now and albeit, a great company like Saudi Air Cargo, but about you, all right? So behind, I can see, you were a guest on the old TED Talks, and I also know that you were awarded the Trailblazer Woman of the Year award this year. So other people, you're catching other people's eyes as well, huh?
Thank you so much, Chris. What I really actually enjoyed was the TED Talk. And I honestly enjoyed it because you go extempore for those minimum 17 minutes. Yep. And the topic that was given to me was embracing the change. And I spoke a lot about change and, how one adapts all the time, be it a different culture, be it a different company, be it a different client, and how it is change that leads the way and goes the way. So that was very, very interesting for me.
Well, I think I like
Trailblazer.
Because, as you know, I've always been interested in change and how quickly and easy it is if people accept it as early as possible, provided that they follow the acronym that I put together for the word change, which is consider how anything new generates efficiency. And if it doesn't, then don't change, because it's all about efficiencies and being better as individuals, being better as departments, as organizations, and obviously, giving a better service and experience to customers, irrespective of which product that you're fulfilling. Vandana, something I'd like to reflect on and just to ask you is, from your TED Talk, what was the most key element or the best area of the subject matter and the points that you put across with regard to accepting change and accepting it as early as possible?
Thank you, Chris, for asking that question, because that was a very nice question to ask. And out there was a huge audience. This was happening at Kolkata, and a lot of young audience as well. Yeah. And what I did try to tell them was that I started at a very young stage when this change happened to me, and I was changing 15 schools in a span of about 12 years. And when you change so many schools, when your father's getting posted, coming from a military background, getting posted every 1 year or 1.5 year or even lesser than that, in schools, studying in schools, some resembling tin shacks, But really, before you start thinking, I'm going to be friends with such and such, you change your school again. So it was about adapting, because if you don't adapt quickly, then you fall. So you have to aggressively adapt out there in such a situation. And this makes you fiercely independent, and it gives you that resilience to be strong, because there is no other choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying I can imagine that. I moved around quite a lot, and sometimes the kids came, sometimes they didn't, and it's a difficult balance. It's a difficult balance. But like you said, if you always have a positive outlook, what you learn never leaves you, and it's better to regret what you've done than regret what you haven't. And I know how resilient you are. Like I said, having worked with you twice, so that's great. But now I've got another question for you. Now, with India, I mean, it's always in the spotlight and in the news. So obviously, the recent elections So as we were talking earlier, that gives a consistency for the country, and it's a chance now for the reform and the change that's necessary to really be driven through. Because people don't have to worry about now who's going to be in, who's going to do this. At least it's going on a common ground now. So it all bodes well, doesn't it, for India?
Absolutely. It works very well because there is consistency. We are looking at the largest democracy in the world. This is India. The people have voted. People have given their choice. And this government is coming in for 3.0, so third time in. And so the reforms are going to continue. The good positives that are coming out of it, work that's already started, be it infrastructure, be it any ministry, be it any industry, it is already happening. So it was always like it's work in progress, and this doesn't come to a stall. This continues, and it's positive for the economy, it's positive for the country, and it's positive for the growth overall.
Yeah. Yeah, and how is everybody responding? Because obviously it's a young generation there as well, and there's a different mindset now. And how's that going on?
Yes, out here everybody wants that consistency, that should be there. You look at my industry, aviation. So there were 74 airports, and now there are 280 airports as we speak. So B-Town, C-Town, metros opening up. So everybody is looking forward to this change. So any industry you see, there is some or the other reform happening, and the young generation especially are very happy. So you see a reverse migration happening here in India. People go out, get their education, and then they come back. Yep. They come back to big pay packages and big meaty jobs, because this is where the growth is happening. It's projected at 7% GDP. So there is no question of any recession. There is a lot of high domestic consumerism, as we know that. Yep. And we are looking forward to be the third largest economy in the world very soon. That's going to happen by 2030. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. On my last trip to Bangalore, which is like Tech Valley, I mean, there's so many billionaires there. It's incredible.
That's incredible. And wherever you step, be it a small place like Ahmedabad, which is the capital of Gujarat, where even our company is looking at maybe bringing in flights. Now you look at that too, full of billionaires. Anywhere you see, there are those billionaires shining everywhere. Yeah. And that, of course, is the diamond capital of India. So there it's shining even more.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Great, incredible country. Now, getting back to yourself now, Vandana. So why do you think, if you can remember why did you get into this industry, and what keeps you in it?
Chris, as far as I remember, even during the wartime, when I was a very tiny infant, I think it was 71 or when, I used to see these bomber jets, and I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I always wanted to be a fighter pilot, but of course, at that time, the Indian Army would not take any women, pilots as such. Being a commercial pilot was something which was not possible, coming from a very humble background. So the next thing that was in my mind was, look, I need to fly. I need to be in this industry. And how? I found my way in via cabin crew, British Airways. Yeah. And then, of course, I used to see these, these pallets going in, being loaded inside the aircraft. And I used to say, I want to talk to that passenger, because that passenger is the one who doesn't talk. I want to understand how that sale happens. Yeah. That intrigued me to such a huge extent that I moved my way horizontally, of course, moved into customer service, passenger side, went all the way through reservations, came into Lufthansa sales, moved into cargo. And cargo is what I love. I love it. Absolutely. So that's how it happened to me.
It's amazing. But it is a peculiar industry. And once you're in, you're in.
Once you're in, you're in. You love it so much because the verticals are so exciting. And for me, global key account management has been my forte. And that's essentially relationship management. And this is something, Chris, as we both know, no AI, no chat GPT, no nothing can buy this.
Yeah.
Because this is something which is person to person.
Yeah.
And the relationships that you build stay with you all your life.
Yeah.
Whether you move from one company to the other, but the doors are always open.
Yeah.
So that's how much I love it.
Yeah, and we'll come to that in a minute. As far no, let's do that now. Now, right, let's just say now, if you were able to make your own cookbook, and one of the dishes of the day you needed to include the ingredients, why do you think you're so well liked, respected, and successful within the key account world of customer experience and maintaining relationships?
Well, I would say that, again, embracing change at a very young age gave me that patience, that perseverance, the listening power, and being actually very persistent. So really no giving up attitude.
Yeah.
And I think that is what made me more driven towards customer excellence, and driving those 20% of global key accounts, which actually deliver 80% of your revenues. So when you're meeting those customers, when you have these qualities that are imbibed in you, it makes things much simpler and it makes things much easier to come across. So I don't have to know a certain language. I just need to get across and I need to do my job. It's like Chris moving from Lufthansa Cargo to Saudi Cargo. If you recollect, there were huge many accounts out there where Lufthansa Cargo. But when I came to Saudi, there were just 5 of them. Yeah. Then I grew the portfolio to 20. And then again, when you're meeting these customers, they wouldn't look at the list and say, oh, you're number 20 or number 40 on the list. They would say, oh, it's you. It's so nice to hear from you. Come over. Let's have a cup of coffee. And then when you sit across and you start discussing, then it goes towards the business direction. So it is simple if you do it right.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And the other thing, Vandana, is once you've established that relationship and people are comfortable, they trust you, etc., it's so important then to get correct data and to have good statistics, good performance information. Do you think now the industry is going through a bit of a peculiar phase where you've got a lot of experience leaving the business, you've got a lot of new people coming in, the training isn't the way it was, digitization hasn't been embraced effectively, some of the accreditations and some of the data that's being put out and standards are a lot more tick box and just to get it done rather than from a practical performance and a practical impact on the core business?
Yes, Chris, you are right. But at the same time, the idea is to strike the right balance. And if we strike the right balance and the right chords, then we make the most of it as far as the data is concerned, as far as the digitalization is concerned. And we put the dots together. We give the right scorecard to the customer on whether it's the quality parameter, whether it is the volume parameter, or various other parameters that we have, how we measure performance. If we show that on one side, and on the other side, we keep this relationship management, which is the EQ, the emotional quotient, really going strong, then it's a winning combination. But if you miss on either of the side and you're just going through those tick boxes and checklists and those surveys and what have you, you lose that ingredient. And if you lose that ingredient, you lose the connect. Yep. So I do feel that the right balance is required. We are keeping the right balance here in our company, but I'm not sure if it's happening everywhere. And I do put a question mark there, because you can't leave everything to, as they call it, artificial intelligence. So it's artificial. It has to be real. It has to be real.
Yeah, and sometimes even without AI, some of the measures and certifications and audits, some of they're so poor that it almost is artificial intelligence.
You could say that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, I've got another thing. I'm going to impress my wife if she ever decides to watch one of my podcasts, in as much as the flowers behind you being birds of paradise. And I know I spent a lot of time in Singapore. That's a beautiful plant. Beautiful plant.
Yes. Yes, it is. And you say it's got the balance. If you see the leaves, this one is actually, it's like the Japanese art. Ikebana, I don't know what you call that, but this is having that right, yin and yang elements, and it is balancing. And this is something I love.
Yeah, it's very good. Now, with the yin and yang and the balancing, when you came into the business, okay, as with all of us, there are certain things that make you happy that you came in. There are certain things that you have to question why you're staying in. And a lot of those are to do with people. What was the main, like, shall we say, turning point or change of direction or endorsement that made you feel that person has mentored me or impressed me or supported me or led by example, and that's why I want to be in that industry? Is there anybody now that you want to give a shout out across the companies that you've been within and also the industry itself?
Well, I would say that I have had some very, very good mentors. I've had some very good mentors in Lufthansa. I've had mentors in Saudi Cargo as well. But the best mentor of it all, Chris, if I may say so, has been my mother.
Oh, lovely.
I see that. You say somebody to take care and make you stand and say, look, so once you have a family, once you have a child, you really start questioning yourself. Shall I not? Shall I give it up? And then when somebody stands there and say, no, you will not give it up. You have come this far, just not to come this far. You must march forward. So that's one. And two, of course, I have met some very good men and women all across, starting with Lufthansa and into Saudi, who have been really inspiring and delightful. So I won't be able to name one, but there are a few, I would say. And I would start it, of course, with a lady called Gabriela Arens in Singapore. She was my mentor, who really led me along and said, okay, now that's the way. You go the way, show the way, and do it like that.
That's good. That's good. But feel free to throw any ones in that you want. Just it's sometimes, who knows? Maybe they'll listen. Maybe someone will say, "Oh, your name came up. Vandana mentioned you." Feel free to throw a couple in. But the real
yes. Thanks, Chris. And coming in like that, I would say that when I came in, I had to come back to India from Singapore, and Lufthansa was happy to take me back. But I wanted to do something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's when Saudi Cargo happened. And I must say that I knew Rhino very well because she was taking care of Europe for global key account management. And he made it very easy for me. When I moved into Saudi, that's like moving to Jeddah. It was like, okay, just do what you were doing and just follow these do's and don'ts. So it became much easier for me. And I used to have a lot of stupid questions that I would run to. And I remember running to you as well. But then you would just make it, just do it like this, Vandana. And I would just do it like that. And the complexity would go. So I would have to thank you too, Chris, for being there at that time. You and Rainer, of course.
I didn't do the show for that, but I'll take that from a TED talker. So thank you very much for that. But you were also and I don't know, this isn't a mutual appreciation platform, but no, you were easy to deal with, Vandana. And the word you used there in relation to your mum, care. The one thing that always came across was how much you genuinely care. And I think that word, more than any other word in our industry and any other industry, is so important. Because if people care about what they do, and they feel their management and their company cares about them and cares about the customer, cares about the business, cares about your tomorrows, cares about results. Those are the basic things that everybody needs to understand when they leave school and join a company. You can't be successful without that.
Absolutely, Chris. And that brings me to another one, that's passion.
Yep.
So I would say that I am very passionate and I enjoy what I do. I really enjoy it, and it shows.
Yeah, it
So
does.
this is how it is. Thank you.
No,
Absolutely.
it does. Now, Vandana, we've got care, we've got passion, we've got experience. What do you think are the main challenges now ahead of us?
We have to keep this going. We have to keep this going. We have to step up the pace. We have to keep up the momentum. And you look at challenges, well, we know how the global scenario is. I don't think we need to discuss that. That's discussed day in and day out across various news channels. But knowing what the scenario is, knowing how the world is, we do know that things are good as far as business is concerned. And we need to take care, if I would say, one thing, we need to take care of climate. We need to not pollute our world. We need to do everything to be efficient and save energy for a better tomorrow, for a better young generation. And we need to save our planet Earth. I look at it like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a funny old thing, and you see it. You see certain people talking about it. You see other people, preaching about it. But there's a lot of ignorance and there's a lot of misunderstanding and mispresentation. But at the end of the day, just the average person seeing how the seasons are changing, certain countries, droughts, people not being able to plant and look after their kids. It really is it's a very worrying thing. And for anybody who's got kids and grandkids, you want to know that they've got a fair chance. And I watched they do a UNICEF sports aid when they have a football match, and it was played at Chelsea last night between ex-footballers and celebrities. But in between, they show all the different parts of the world that UNICEF supports and why. And it really is heartbreaking, when you see children, irrespective of what nationality, saying, I have to work because I've got to look after my family and my mother, or saying my little brother is not very well and it breaks my heart. It doesn't matter what language. When you see those words come up on the screen, your heart just goes out to them. And a lot of that is because of climate. They're not able to feed themselves. It's terrible.
Absolutely. Right now, sitting here in New Delhi, it is almost 48 degrees. And last week, our DG was here, it was about close to 50. Yeah. And now we haven't seen temperatures like this. We are just about 270 kilometers off the Himalayas, if I may say so. And Delhi is like, if I compare it to Saudi Arabia, the DG was asking, it's like Riyadh. But then you see the spring, you have the summer, you have the rain, and then the autumn and the winter. But here now we are seeing a very long, dry summer and a very short winter and hardly any spring and hardly any autumn. So this is what is happening as I speak over here. And there are parts of central India, parts of Rajasthan, which are scorching at 52 degrees, if I may say so. Yep. So this is definitely concerning. And we also want that not just the grandchildren, but grandchildren, they all live to see a better tomorrow. And I do believe, as you said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Yeah. And I do believe a lot of talk I see that's going on, but I don't see the walk that should be happening. Yeah. And we are just individuals. We can do as much as we can do. Yeah. But I think it has to be a collective effort. And I think countries have to do a lot more to make sure that there is, less of this pollution, less of this, we talk about carbon emissions, carbon footprints, all of this. But how much is happening is one question mark that I have in my mind as well. Yeah. No, it's one thing. It's one thing to see something happening. It's another thing to listen to people talking about what should, could, or would happen.
Vandana, we're coming towards the end of it now, but just one last question I've got for you. Any youngsters that may or may not be listening, or any youngsters that feel, I'd like to get into aviation, if they wanted to see somebody like yourself and they wanted to get a message from you, what would the message be as to why you think this is still such a wonderful industry?
I would quote Muhammad Ali over here, the famous boxer, Muhammad Ali. And he said that, if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. So they have to go with that passion, with that energy and that inertia really to go in, and they will achieve it. So I would say that the industry is beautiful. You just have to have that passion and that energy, and you have to believe in yourself and believe that you can deliver, and it will happen.
That's a lovely. I tell you, well done, you. And that's a lovely saying. I once did 60 minutes with a publication, and one of the questions was, of all the people living or dead, who would you like to have spent an evening with, and why? And it was Muhammad. I put Muhammad Ali. I think
we have something in common.
Yeah, some of the things he said were incredible. Plus, if I was with Muhammad Ali and I took him to a restaurant, we'd have no problem getting a seat, and I'd be able to listen to him whilst I was eating, because he did know how to talk. On that, it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, Vandana. Well done for being one of Ted's many famous people now, and also for the award that you won. And I'm sure there'll be many more. And I wish you really, really great success, and Saudi Cargo, of course. And I look forward to speaking to you, maybe seeing you on my next trip to India. So take care, and thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you, Chris. And it was wonderful to be on this podcast with you. It's been very nice, and I look forward to welcoming you home. If you come to India, you come home and have some nice butter chicken and naan with us.
I would love to do that, and I've got a few people I want to say a personal thank you to, because they were very kind when my daughter was there and she fell ill and she had to go to hospital. They were absolutely amazing, but I want to see them in person, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Dana.
I hope to see you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.